Southwest Fire Academy was established in 2015 as a response to the recognized need for quality, safe, and affordable fire and rescue training in Ontario. This is not your average fire college. SFA has high standards for their students, and it is their mission to teach and produce qualified, ambitious firefighters who are prepared to work hard to serve their communities. This is not a diploma mill. This is where you can learn strategic, aggressive firefighting from passionate, intelligent instructors who never forget why they were made to do this job. SFA is an accredited private career college that is regulated by the Ministry of Training, colleges, and universities, with a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Fire Marshal. This means that SFA is an approved training provider with the OFM, and the programs are recognized in Ontario. Check out their pre-service and expanding selection of course offerings at southwestfireacademy.ca. Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 133 of Multiple Calls. I'm Scott Hewlett. If you are ever wondering whom you should align with in this job, come back to this thought. What has been the response to those in the service who have tried to drag the tradition of this profession down? The negative, the selfish, the lazy, the arrogant. It has been met with work. Conferences, articles, podcasts, webinars, research, videos, surveys, committees, studies, and countless hours of training. And what has their response been to that? Nothing. Just the same weak, captive audience broken record. If you can't distance yourself from them, ignore them. Continue to work while keeping this advice from Maya Angelou in mind. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Here's my chat with Brad Gregory.
We'll start by telling me where you grew up and a bit about your family.
Yeah, so grew up in a small town in southwestern Ontario called Ridgetown. Very heavy agricultural town. Pretty small population, I think it's about 3,500. Growing up in a small town, it was pretty unreal. We could pretty much walk the town. You never had to really worry about anything. We had kind of free reign.
What did mom and dad do?
Actually, they worked at the same place about half an hour away. The closest city was Chatham. They worked at Siemens Automotive, both in the office part. They were gone from 7 to 5. So growing up through public school, high school, latchkey kid, right? I kind of had that freedom after school. Yeah, it was great. I have one older brother. He's 4 years older than me. So we got along pretty well. And then he kind of hit that age where didn't want to be with little brother and mom and dad. So after that, I mean, it was mostly just hockey and sports with me and my mom and dad.
How was school for you?
It was good. I mean, pretty much just like almost everyone else in the fire service, I think. I enjoyed the social aspect of it. Definitely enjoyed the sports. I got by with passing grades. Nothing to write home about. Never really took a liking to the academics, but really enjoyed the sports. Obviously, the social part, hanging with your friends, causing some trouble.
Were you in sports pretty early?
Thinking around probably 6 or 7, I started playing hockey. Got on the skates, played hockey throughout public school, high school. Played a little bit after high school as well. Nothing serious. Didn't play any junior or anything. I knew from an early age I wasn't going anywhere with hockey. It was just a fun sport, playing with my friends growing up. But yeah, through school, playing volleyball, basketball. Last couple years in high school, I started playing soccer. Never really got into it that much. It was more of the getting out there and kind of causing shit, doing the slide tackles and just kind of being a bully. That was kind of the fun part for me, I guess. I don't know. Early high school, I got into skateboarding, rollerblading, aggressive rollerblading. So did that for a couple years. It was fun, but again, it fizzled.
What about guides and mentors growing up?
I had a lot of really good hockey coaches. Wouldn't really say they were mentors. It seemed like we had a new coach every year. Definitely learned some pretty good work ethics through the hockey coaches. Honestly, my biggest mentors would be my parents, just watching them do the daily grind. Like I said, they're gone from 7 to 5, but they were up at 5:30. I don't think they truly loved their jobs, but they were good jobs. It allowed us to have great opportunities playing sports, traveling on the weekends. So just kind of sitting back and observing their work ethic. They weren't the type to call in sick, abuse any systems. They grind it out. I think watching that kind of instilled that on me.
What about jobs before the fire service? Were you working as a teenager and early adult?
My first job was I was cutting grass. Again, small town. Started cutting my grandparents, then a couple yards beside them. Doing that was 12, 13, somewhere in there. And then once I got to high school, started working at a grocery store, which was a fantastic job. Again, all my buddies worked there. Everyone I hung out with worked there, so we made it fun. The owner of the store, actually, I grew up with his daughter. He was very big into sports and understood if we needed time off for sports. He worked around that very, very well, very accommodating. Worked at the grocery store all through high school. After high school, before the whole fire path began, I didn't have proper courses, so I kind of just took a shot in the dark and went to a college for sporting goods business. Never took a business class or a marketing class in high school. Kind of followed that sports theme, and I was there for about a cup of coffee. And I knew I was in way over my head, so had to do the walk of shame and bail on that program. Came back, and I ended up going back to the grocery store. Thankfully, he took me back. He kind of sat me down and told me, he said, "Hey, this is not going to be a career for you. We'll take you back for the time being, but I need you to go to school." So that was a nice little kick in the butt there for about a year, and that's when I ended up getting back into the program for pre-service.
Where'd you go to pre-service?
I went to Georgian College in Barrie. I kind of applied late, so I kind of narrowed my choices down to whoever had a January start date, which was only 2 schools at the time. Got waitlisted, and I think it was first part of December. They called and they said, "The spot's yours if you want it." So it was a mad scramble to get everything organized, and moved up there after the Christmas break. From Ridgetown, it's about a 3.5 hour drive. So it was a mad scramble, but worth it.
Did you do any time in the trades?
So I worked at the grocery store, and then in the summer before I went, I ended up working with a local carpenter. He was just kind of a general carpenter. We did decks, fences. We built a carport, so we did some roofing. Just kind of did everything. It was also great. He was on the local fire department in Ridgetown, so I just chewed his ear off every time we weren't working. Anytime the hammer stopped swinging, it was a million questions about fire.
What brought fire on your radar to start asking and then looking to pre-service?
In high school, I kind of thought it was going to be either the fire or police route or trades. Kind of going back, a huge influence on me was 9/11, really. Not to date myself, but I was 13 in grade 8 when that happened. And again, small town, didn't really know too much about the World Trade Centers, but as I kind of learned more and looked into it and read into it, and through high school, it just hit with me. It was something I did want to pursue, but not having any fire in the family, I didn't really know the avenue or the path to take. And yeah, it took me a while, but I did find the path that took me to the career that I'm in now.
What was the process of getting on like for you?
Graduated school in end of 2008, and then 2009. So back then, I only got my Firefoot 1. You graduated a pre-service program. So I actually had to do a 5-day hazmat operations. So I went down to Festi in Toronto. So that was my first step after the year-long school program. And then it was just started applying. Again, I didn't really have a full understanding of the process. So for me, it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of test writing. Realized early on I needed to work on my test writing. I think I bought up every single test book you could buy, basic math for idiots, all that type of stuff, trying to practice those long divisions and multiplications and just going back to the basics. And I was fortunate enough, I started improving my test scores, but I was fairly young at the time. Didn't have quite the resume, so the interviews still weren't happening. But then in 2010, I got on a volunteer fire department. That started boosting the resume. Then I started volunteering with St. John Ambulance to do medical first response. That helped as well. And I was just taking any course I could really get my hands on. The weekend courses like everyone tackles. So yeah, eventually my resume got a little bit better, more life experience. And then finally I got my first interview and completely bombed it. Realized wasn't very good at interviews. So back to the books. I got some interview prep, just question after question, going through all the steps. Landed a couple more interviews, did a little bit better, and then finally had a couple good interviews, made lists, and then I was fortunate enough I finally got the call. But that process was about five and a half years for myself.
What was the recruit experience like when you finally got on full time?
So the department I'm on, I say it's small. We're 5 stations, and when we recruit, we normally don't have too large of numbers. When I started, there was 2 of us. So the program I started with, it was 2 weeks, and then you were on the trucks riding. A lot of kind of reviewing your firefighter 1 and 2 basic skills. So we threw some ladders, hitting hydrants, the stretch. So just making sure everyone's comfortable deploying and packing.
How were the rookie years when you finally, you hit the floor for 2 weeks, and how were the first couple of years?
White cloud right out of the gate when it comes to work and jobs. But I have to say it was kind of a breath of fresh air. You hear the stories and you watch the Rescue Me and all that stuff, and you think you're just going to be on toilets in the kitchen, cleaning dishes and stuff. But it was great. The guys were fantastic. Like, everyone pitches in to do everything. I still tried to get up first to be in the sink. It's really a team aspect, at least on my shift. Yeah, they want you in the toilets, but they also want you training and have your stuff squared away. It's important to come in the morning and make sure everything's clean and ready to go, but it's a little bit more important to have your pack, your mask, your gear, everything squared away. Takes priority, right? So I wasn't always the first ones to the toilet, but it was great.
Were you into taking courses and going to conferences pretty early on?
I started in 2015 on my full-time job. I think it was that year. If not, it was early 2016. I went and took a forcible entry irons class over in Michigan. When I went to school, like looking back now, all I knew the Halligan tool was a search tool. You take it into a house, not to swing around, but you take it into a house to help you maneuver through the house. And if you need to take a window, that type of stuff. We didn't even hit a door when I was in school. I kind of took a deep dive into forcible entry before I got hired. I stumbled across Brotherhood instructors on YouTube back a long time ago. Yeah, I just took a deep dive into all their stuff. If anyone doesn't know, it was Andrew Broussard and Justin Carson, Jeff Clayton. To me, those guys are Canadian legends. Like, they're guys I look up to. They're huge mentors of mine. And fast forwarding to today, like now I get to help out and work with Andrew, and I've taught a course with Justin, and yeah, it's unbelievable. But yeah, I took a hard deep dive into that. So as soon as I could, I took this course through Rise Above Fire Training, I believe it is, in Michigan. Really great guy, Sean Wilson, I believe his name is. Yeah, it was fantastic. He got me into a course with a fire department just over the border there, and it blew my mind. It was probably only about 7 or 8 of us, so it was 8 hours of just a ton of tool time. It got me hooked. After that, I went to a firemanship conference out in Portland. That was the following year in 2017, I believe. Couldn't wrangle anybody up to go with me, so That was a solo mission. It was phenomenal. Got to see some of my biggest mentors out there too. Bob Pressler and Mike Lombardo, Cody Trestrail. It was outstanding. You get bit by that bug and you can't get enough of it.
How did you get involved with instructing and helping out?
I was lucky. The shift I got assigned at my department, I call him my senior man, Jeff Cowan. He kind of noticed that I was getting into the job pretty deep, kind of gave me the reins to help out with the forcible entry for our shift a couple times. And then he asked me to come out and help out with one of his local academies at the time before the OFM kind of shut down their college and started the regional programs. He had an academy down our way, getting the volunteer firefighters they're 1 and 2. And so that was kind of my introduction into instructing. Probably out there a little bit too early, but I learned a lot from him. And then the other instructors he brought out, Phil Resendez, Justin Carsons again. To me, big names, guys I learned from still today. Started there, and then I ended up working. I was fortunate enough I got hired with our local college for the pre-service fire science program as well.
Tell me about the Fools chapter and how you got involved with them.
The Fools started, well, just before COVID. Obviously, the first big conference they were going to have, it was just about to happen, and then COVID hit. As soon as I kind of caught wind that there was going to be a Fools chapter, that was something that was always on my radar. Again, just for that extra training. To me, the biggest thing you can do is kind of get outside of your 4 walls at your fire department. You learn so much from guys on other departments. Everyone does something a little bit different, and it might not work for your department, but you can kind of manipulate it and make it work the best at your hall or at your department. So again, those names, Jeff Cowan, Justin Carson, Phil, Rob T-Bear, Scott Brown, they were behind bringing that chapter to Southwestern Ontario. As soon as I could, I became a member. I helped out wherever I possibly could. And then I was fortunate enough that kind of part of the executive board, co-chairing the training. Again, just kind of helping out where I can, trying to do my part to give back.
Did it really open your eyes to going to a conference is one thing, but running one is different? We talked a little bit about it before we got started here, but maybe give me your take on what your experience was of actually trying to pull it off.
Yeah, it's totally different. The hardest part about going to a conference is signing up quick enough and getting the course you want. And then when it comes to running it, it's a whole different beast. Again, I just kind of help out where I can. When it comes to the big smoky showing, I mean, the guys who really take the heavy lifting have been like Rob T-Bear. I mean, Southwest Fire has been very gracious to us. A couple years ago, we had it at the main campus there in Wabashine. Huge supporter. I can speak to the small speaking event that I held here in my hometown a couple years ago. You're trying to book speakers or book instructors. You got to feed everyone because you don't want hungry firemen. So you got to make all these plans, hotels. It's a lot. It's not my area normally of being organized. It's a whole different ballgame.
Must be pretty fulfilling to put it together and watch it go off pretty much without a hitch. Like everything I've been to that the Fools have run has been fantastic.
It's unbelievable to see, really. You go to these conferences in the States and a lot of guys don't think that the need or the want is here, but we see it every time. Every time we have a conference or even a one-day training or a speaking event, it sells so fast and the guys want to hear it. Everyone's looking for information. A lot of guys just want to get together and talk. We don't get to see each other all the time, especially with the Fools group. It started out as a Southwestern Ontario kind of chapter, but it blew up very quickly. And I mean, we had 2 guys from Alberta at the conference just a couple weeks ago. We had East Coast guys from New Brunswick at the first or second one that was held at Lambton. We're from Windsor to Northern Ontario. It's amazing to see.
Are you at the point where you're mentoring people and helping them come up in the fire service?
I hope I am. I hope what I'm doing at work and not even just at work, teaching and all that stuff. I hope I am. A lot of people don't come up and tell you that you're the mentor or anything, but I try my hardest. Again, I'm very lucky. I work with some very good firefighters. So I kind of take a lead off them. I have my areas that I'll step in and teach to our on-shift crews. I think I'm getting to that point. I'm just over 10 years on, so I hope I'm setting good examples for the junior guys.
Brass puts it really well about us looking for weak points in our game, right? We all have weak points in our game. What things in the job would you say are your wheelhouse, and which things are you realizing that you want to focus more on?
I'm kind of getting to that point. I'm an acting captain, but I'm so low in seniority that I really don't act. But there's going to come a time where that's going to change. I definitely need to focus on kind of that leadership, properly running crews. I have a pretty good idea from good officers that I've worked for, as well as the bad officers that I've worked for. I have a pretty good idea where I see things going, but I definitely want to make sure I'm competent and confident when it comes to leading a crew and being in charge. I mean, for myself, my hazmat has always been weak, and the city I work, it's probably should brush up a little bit. It's one of those areas I always neglect. It's not that sexy and fun, and as well as some of the tech rescues. We're a small department, so a lot of guys do a lot of different skills. We have to kind of be proficient with a lot of things. Tech rescue for me, it's something I definitely need to be more confident with. Again, that comes to more training, more time, whether it's ropes or any type of water, just comes back to training. Just need more time.
Does your department have specific hazmat and tech teams, or do you guys call in mutual aid for bigger calls? Like, are you guys awareness and ops for some and tech for others? How does it work?
We have a hazmat team. They're trained to the tech level, and they're a callback. So if we get an incident that we think is substantial enough to initiate the actual team, the callback goes out, that team assembles and comes. But for the rest of it, it's on duty. They're not really we don't have a rope team, or we just have certain individuals who have already been through the course and generally take lead on a rope call. Same with the water. We're all trained to ice and swift, but there's not really a team. We're just all trained up on it.
Doing the best you can when the call comes in.
I think moving forward, the plan is to kind of on each shift have at least 5 to 8 guys who are kind of dedicated to each skill, and then they'll always take lead, whereas the rest of them will kind of be the operations level and can help do the rigging. I think that's the end goal.
Having taught here and there and at the local college, having gone to conferences and taking a number of courses, are there times where you've used the things you're learning on calls and it's sort of solidified their value and sort of given you more of a assurance of what you've learned and also a hunger to find out what else there is?
Most of it is just kind of the basic firefighting skills that I've used that was left out of my basic programs when I learned. But again, the forcible entry, just ladder work as well, learning to tie that halyard to the bottom rung of the base, so you don't have to untie that mess that's never tied properly at 3 a.m. Just little things like that when it comes to firefighting. Definitely utilize it on the fire ground, but always looking for more. Yeah, more conferences. I always try and take some sort of ventilation course when I go, because it's generally in the States. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to use too much of that here, but I try. We try, so.
It's definitely a hard thing in the Canadian Fire Service to explain the value of vertical ventilation when it's required.
We've had conversations many times, and I still don't fully understand the pushback. And I'm not saying we need to go on every single roof at every single fire, but I think there's many times when if the staffing is right and you have the staffing, you have the resources, why would we not vertically vent and let some of that stuff out and make it easy for that engine crew pushing in and potential victims inside? I do know my audience a lot of times, and sometimes it's not worth the fight.
I'm sure if firefighters had the experience of being inside and seeing the drastic improvement of conditions because of it, they'd probably be instantly sold.
Absolutely. If they've been inside and felt the relief, I think you're right. I think their minds would change. And I get it. I mean, it hasn't been in the Canadian culture for so long, but from what I'm seeing in the last couple of years with the Fools conferences and just teaching more, I see a lot of people who are looking for that style of training, the truck style of training, searching, especially the VES or the WIS, the window initiated search, and then vertical ventilation. Pretty excited to see in the next 5 years where we go. We have some dialed in people at the right time in their careers, and hopefully we start making some changes.
You're obviously into the job and probably, I'm assuming, consuming content here and there. And there's so much available now. It's really hard for people to know what's of value and what isn't. So are there things, podcast, books, there's obviously social media pages. Are there things that are sort of your go-tos that you've found that you've filtered that have high value?
Anybody who asks me about books, my first one every time is Random Thoughts by Tom Brennan. That book is amazing. I forget who said it, but someone said it's like the original Instagram because it's just short articles, but it's his whole catalog. He used to write I think it was the back cover of Fire Engineering. He wrote one on everyone. Unbelievable stuff. A lot of the articles are as old as I am, but they still carry a lot of weight today. I have my copy, and if anyone wants to read it, I hand it out and let them read it. It's an awesome book. For Instagram, I follow a ton, but I'm not deep diving into everyone. Some of the ones I really do enjoy and I think are 100% vetted. Mickey Farrell, so Top Floor Tactics. He's a very intelligent guy. Obviously, he's been doing the work. He's FDNY, busy company. Boogie Down Truck Work. Again, another FDNY guy. I was fortunate enough, finally, I got to take one of his classes at Joey D last year. And he is just an absolute stand-up guy. He actually took me down there on a scholarship. So, I mean, awesome guy, giving back to the job. And then you just had him on your podcast, actually, the Working Truck Company. His stuff is outstanding. On the truck, Chicago, busy. They're not feeding you any BS, right? It's tried and true, tested. And then obviously, Rescue Squad Ironworks. If anyone doesn't know that company or know Andrew Broussard, highly recommend following him. The props, just the stuff he comes up with is unreal. I can't talk enough about his stuff. I ended up talking my training officer at work. We ordered all the props. They're outstanding. You can't beat it.
I'm excited to try his new door prop.
I haven't had my hands on it either. That crush feature, the possibility of you skidding an outward metal door is pretty good. So to learn what you're doing and how to overcome it and get past that, it's a game changer.
Are you big on saw work? Are you teaching that within your department?
I like it. I try and help teach as much as I can with it. Again, unfortunately, it's something we don't tackle too often at actual calls. I think it's important. I'm hoping we can get to the point where that will be a valuable tactic that we use more often. It's something I feel we have to train on a lot because a lot of people are coming into the fire service without the small engine familiarity and operating not only a chainsaw, but an angle grinder or a impact drill. Like, it's not everyone's coming from a background of agricultural town or a blue collar family, right? It's pretty important that we drill on the operation of doing the vertical vent, but just getting back to the basics of how are you going to start a flooded saw? Just small things like that, right? Because everyone floods a saw when it comes to an actual call. You can't just throw it aside and wait 15 minutes.
Or like with the opportunities that Brass has created now, the puck locks, the cutting bars.
I think it's something that people don't think a lot about, actually, too, especially the puck lock. It's out there. If anybody's ever taken or talked to Brass about it, like, there's a lot to understanding and knowing where to cut on that puck lock. because if you don't know where to cut, you're wasting time and you're not going to be successful getting through. So the prop, it's invaluable.
Have you struggled at all mentally or physically along the way so far? And how have you managed?
So far, I've been lucky. I haven't had any major injuries or anything physically. I don't think mentally. I've had some pretty bad calls, as everyone does in the career. You're not going to avoid it. I'm lucky. I have a solid rock when it comes to coming home to my wife. I can talk to her about anything. I have a ton of guys I know that I can pick up the phone and give them a call and just kind of chat, not only on my department, but just becoming a Fools member, doing all these trainings and conferences. You start networking, and there's tons of guys going through stuff. Sometimes you don't even need someone to talk back, just be that listening ear. So far, I mean, knock on wood, I'm sure I've had a couple outbursts that probably are because of something, but nothing so far.
I know you just started acting, but do you enjoy incident command? Are you thinking of promoting up the chain if that opportunity ever comes up?
So our department's seniority based, so we changed our system. When I wrote, we were able to write after 7 years completed, which I personally think is just too soon. But we've changed our system, so you got to have 10 years on the job now to be eligible to write. I literally just did it to get my spot in line for down the road. I think it is something I'm definitely going to be interested in. I think being in that company officer role, I mean, best of both worlds, you still get to go in, you still get to do the job, but you definitely have direct influence on your crew, how they train, how they hopefully view the job. If you want change to happen in your department or you want change, then I think being a company officer is the way to go. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's not going to happen for me for a while, which I'm fine with. I love riding the back. Every once in a while I have to drive the truck and not go inside, but I just enjoy riding.
You said you've had some difficult calls. I mean, we don't need to dive deeply into them, but are there calls that have really stood out for you that have been eye-opening, lessons learned, things that you think that you wish you would have known before that and people would have value in hearing?
The calls that definitely stand out to me aren't so much the ones that anyone really wants to hear. They're not great. I talked about this call on the other podcast as well. This one kind of stands out. Just it kind of threw me for a loop. It was a U-Haul storage place that caught fire, and long story short, the actual unit of origin, someone was living in there. You kind of get that mindset of it comes in as a U-Haul storage. My first thought's probably not primary search, because I'm not thinking anyone's living in these units, but it was a cold January day. And yeah, I can't remember, but I think it was either electrical or something that led back to like a hot plate. And then you start looking around and it's someone was living in there. I mean, that was a huge kind of takeaway. I've read a couple stories about people living in the storage facilities, but when it actually happened, you're kind of took me back.
And getting back to the puck locks and just knowing how to use your saws and accessing these spaces. I've been to a couple of the storage facility calls, and our guys recently in Collingwood had to, cut a number of locks to find the source of an issue in one of those storage places. So if you're going to use saw work anywhere, it's there.
I went through a whole bunch of different style locks. We ended up cutting the garage door off a couple of the units. We forced some man doors. Like, it was all sorts of styles of forcible entry. Kind of going back to RSI, it's all that stuff is, you just never know. Got to have a little bit of knowledge on all that different styles of locks and how to defeat them.
Yeah, it's not just good enough to have that saw on the truck and then check it off on the inventory and then figure out how to use it when you need it.
Exactly. You got to get it out. You got to restart it, and you got to get your hands on it and make cuts and just feel how it works, and then also just to see the locks and understand how they operate and kind of how you want to cut them, where you want to cut them. It all comes into play.
Champo's got some great videos all of his videos are great, but from years back from fire engineering, where he shows you how to balance the body of the saw on its side on your foot for those really low bars. And then, how you balance it on your knee. and use your body motion in and out to move the saw. So just tricks like that people can learn so quickly, that's going to be such high value.
Mike Champo any of his videos are unbelievable. The tips and tricks that he can give you, again, just a busy truck company. There's so much good information out there. Finding the good information. I think actually it was Brass who said Instagram and all this stuff, it's like a dollar store. You got to sift through a lot of shit to find the good stuff.
Right.
But the good stuff is there.
Yeah, that's why I think there's high value in people that can help you filter.
Absolutely. And again, if you're kind of new to the fire service or you don't know kind of how to filter what's vetted, what's good, what's bad, to me, that's where the Fools groups come in. You talk to yourself or Riley or anybody at the Fools conference, and you can ask, and you're going to get good information on what's good, what's not, maybe some other names to check out. It's just good to get out of your own department.
Good to have those mentors that can at least get you started in the right direction.
Exactly. Yep.
Anything else you think you want to cover that we haven't touched on? Are there topics or issues like in the service or within your own department? We don't need to highlight if it's coming from your own department, but are there things eating at you, things you want to change, things that are rattling through your brain on a day-to-day basis?
For my department, I would love to see, so right now, out of our main station, we run an engine and a rescue, 4-person engine, but it's a 2-person rescue. I would love to see us upstaff to a 4-person rescue and make it a true dedicated rescue truck. It already carries all our heavy Auto X ropes, like tech ropes, the Vortex, all that stuff. It carries our RDC, all our water. It already carries the stuff. We just don't utilize it as that true rescue. That's something I'd like to see, hopefully moving forward. I'm not really in that position. Again, kitchen table talk, right? It's been brought up many times. To me, it should be a truck you have to qualify for to kind of give that sense of pride that you're on a rescue truck. You have to earn that spot. So that's something I'd like to see moving forward.
Have you looked into Brampton's rescue truck? I mean, it's only been in service for a number of years now, and they've been pretty successful in implementing it. And I'm sure there's other departments as well, maybe you're aware of.
I'd like to maybe talk to Cadiz and see exactly how they implemented it and how they went about that. The big sell for us would be the upstaffing to a 2-person unit to a 4-person. It runs the city, though. I think it'd be beneficial to the crew. I think they could be a little bit more disciplined in those tech areas. Moving forward in my career, if I can help push that or help with making that happen, then I mean that's something I would be interested in for sure.
Upstaffing always seems to be a hard thing, and I always it always makes you think of all we need is one big high-rise call, and we're going to realize how understaffed we are.
It's true. We're pretty fortunate for the size of the city we are, for what we have, but that statement couldn't be more true. But it's a tough sell to upstaff for sure.
When you go through larger departments, high-rise manuals, and you see what the first 5 dedicated trucks have to get done on that job, and your department has 1 or 2 trucks or 5, you're going to eat up manpower pretty quickly.
Like we do have 5 stations, but in a blink of an eye, all 5 would be committed and busy, and we still need more. Definitely a huge positive, though. We have a search manual. I wish I could say I had something to do with it. I thought that was fantastic. A couple guys from another shift really spearheaded that program. I mean, they took a deep dive with Clackamas. At the time, they were using a lot of the rescue survey from the States, the data from there. Obviously, moving forward, we can revise it with the amazing information that the Ontario Firefighter Survey is collecting. So hopefully we can revise it and tweak it to our actual province data. Yeah, we have a SAW manual that, again, Jeff Cowan, he created. We call them manuals, but really what it is it's just an amazing reference guide that an officer can go to it, take a look, and then go drill his guys on. Not everybody's, into saws. Not everyone's proficient and up to speed with it. but it's such a dangerous tool that we carry. It's just a quick reference, go back, take a look, and then go out and drill for half an hour on it.
It's nice to keep SOGs super succinct and tight and have all the how and why and all that content in a manual for whatever the topic is.
Exactly. It's all in one place. As we keep going, we're going to chip away at each topic and hopefully can kind of put together a lot more of these little manuals, again, for the quick reference, because it comes in so handy for some of those officers who they want to do stuff, but they don't know if they have the information, or they don't want to lead their crews the wrong way. But now they can just go take a look, figure it out, get out and do a little drill.
Hamilton Fire's got a great fire attack manual, and it was based off of, which is also a great manual from Austin. So if you're looking for a starting point for a fire attack manual, I would definitely, I can give you them as references and templates if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I've been working on a forcible entry one. It's a very slow process, but again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm really kind of basing it off the FDNY one. We don't use a lot of the stuff they use, so I'm pretty much shrinking it down and then focusing on the stuff we're going to see in Sarnia, and then focusing on the tools and how we can use them that we carry on our truck. So it's a process, but it's getting there.
Yeah, we've got one for incident command, one for RIT, one for search, and one for fire attack so far. And really, like you're saying, it's about compiling information that's already out there and adapting it and making it fit for your department. That's literally all it is.
We're not out to reinvent anything or come up with new, better tactics. I'm using the forcible entry one from FDNY, which, I mean, when it comes to forcible entry, that's where it started. Look at all the tools for it. It's pretty much all invented by FDNY guys.
And maybe you need 75% of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great that you pointed out, too, that they're living documents and they can always be updated and changed. Everyone just becomes aware. What do you want to change, take out, add in, and then you just update the document.
Absolutely. Especially the firefighter survey is still fantastic. But now that we have that home base kind of data, it's happening in our own backyards. The data and the stuff that they've been able to collect and get out to us is unreal. They're doing a great job.
Are you finding it easier to have conversations with guys that may be reluctant now that we have homegrown data? They no longer have that argument like, well, this is from the States.
Yeah, as soon as you say it's from the States, you lose 80 to 90% of the guys. And it's funny because like my city borders the States, and we actually have a mutual aid agreement with Port Huron. But you say truck work, you say anything to do it, and you lose them, right? So it's fantastic that it's like, no, this is Ontario based. And for the few rescues or the few grabs that have been made, the officers have been great. I just ask them if they don't mind filling out the survey so we can collect that data.
It's funny how the guys that are very quick to say what we shouldn't be doing don't very often have anything to put in the place of what we should be doing.
Yes. Very quick to say it's wrong, but there's no solutions.
Have you run into, we don't do that in this department, or we only teach what we do here? Has that been a barrier for you at all?
I've heard the statement, we don't do that until we do it. Like when we train on certain topics, let's just throw out VES. That's kind of what I've learned instructing or trying to bring up a topic is, especially when you know your audience, you got to really sell. This isn't always going to be our plan A, or we're not going to do this at every fire. But there's a good chance that this tactic might have to be utilized, and we should be proficient at how the operation goes so we can be confident and efficient doing it if it comes to that. I mean, VES, that's always the one that gets guys fired up. All I have to say is VES. But it's just another play in the playbook. That's kind of where I find when you sell it that way, they're a little bit more open to training and listening to what you have to say.
Do you think we give them too easy an out, though, if we say this isn't always going to be our plan A, and they're very quick to make it plan Q? So they'll participate in the training and go through it, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking, I'm never going to do this, or we're never going to do this.
There are individuals that once you give them that kind of out, they take it and they know they're never going to do it. I like to think I'm winning over as many who are quick to shut it down. I think we're making progress, especially when you show them the proper technique of doing it and explain along the way what you're doing, why you're doing it. I think you get the buy-in.
Yeah, I've been kind of pushing back on buy-in in the last bit of my career, thinking that why do we have to get grown adult professionals to buy into their job?
You would think it would be kind of given that you would want to be the best you can be when it comes to your job, especially this job, and try and take in as much information as you possibly can. But unfortunately, everyone knows there's certain individuals who are probably here for the wrong reasons.
I agree with you. I'm optimistic. I think we are gaining a positive spiral. Like there's an upswing. There's a, however you want to phrase it, there's definitely more people that are in it for the right reasons, doing things for the right reasons, going above and beyond to deliver the information in a way they shouldn't even have to try and quote unquote convince people. The fact that we've met this resistance with so much effort is just, it should be celebrated way more than it is.
Yes, I agree. A really good example in my department was our high-rise operations. We kind of bought in to the Brent Brooks, the gate gauge, the 3 lengths of 2.5, smooth bore, all that stuff. And we had all that gear. We bought it and it got shut down really quick because there were some senior officers who didn't want to have to carry a hose back. So unfortunately that gear sat for, I don't even know how many years. It got brought up again, and we had a couple senior officers who were behind it this time, and we got Brooksy to come in. He did his spiel. He did his hands-on, and like within a week, everything was on the trucks, and we had new OGs. Everyone was bought in. It just took bringing in Brooks and him delivering his hands-on and his in-class. That's where we're at now with our high-rise. So
I don't feel that the entire department should just accept anything and everything that someone brings forward. That's never my point. I'm just thinking about the amount of effort that it takes is way beyond what it should take.
No, absolutely. And I think it's good that guys question things. I could go to a conference and come back and tell them absolute nonsense. And if no one questioned me on it, then that's not good. I think the pushback is good as long as you can explain the benefits or why it could be beneficial to our department. I think it's good that the guys do question things.
I think as long as it's equally given for you as well, right? Why are you allowed to question what's being brought forward that's different, but I'm not allowed to question the way things are? More often, I think the biggest piece of advice I'd give to people is think about what's actually going on in the interaction you're having and then flip it. And would that be okay for you? And what isn't being offered to you that's being given to them? And if it's not equal, that's where you need to start. It's like, you're an adult, you're a professional, I'm in this career, you're in this career, we're in this room together. Why can't we talk about things professionally? And why aren't we both expected to bring an equal amount of information to actually talk about this topic and hammer it out? Why is this uneven, unbalanced, enabling relationship happening? It's like, I really feel done with it.
It's almost like you're offending them by trying to change whatever you're trying to change. They almost take offense to it.
And they're very often the guys that always talk about how, or put on the front of how stoic and tough, and they never get their feelings hurt, and people are soft and they're snowflakes. Yet they very quickly get their feelings hurt on things. So again, see through the whole thing, look at the dynamic that's actually happening, address that first, and then you can start actually having conversations. But we don't often learn these things until we've had a tough time in numerous ways of trying to get things done. And then finally we learn through banging our head off the wall, and we find a more effective way of getting to where we need to be.
I think that was one of the not hardest lessons, but that was a lesson I had to kind of learn early on when I started like going to conferences in the States and coming back. And it's like, not everyone is as into the job as I am. They don't always want to hear what I just did in the States, right? You just kind of have to offer it out there. I'm more than happy to explain what I did and what I think we should maybe train on and practice. And if they don't, then I'm not gonna force feed it.
And even if there's one or two firefighters on your department that don't have the opportunity to go to these conferences, and when you come back, they pull you and say, tell me everything you learned.
That's a win. I mean, it'd be phenomenal to get them to go with us or to go with me. I do see that changing now. We have some young junior firefighters that are starting to go to conferences. They're eager. They want to get after it too.
Especially if you can divide and conquer, right? You and I can't go to all of them. So if I go to one, you go to one, someone else goes to another, and we come back and we all lay out what we learned as much as we can remember and what we could take notes on. There's so much value that can come from that.
Absolutely. Even to go to the same one, like Great Lakes Hot over in Michigan, there's just so many courses that you can take that if you can each go to a different course.
Right. Even within the same conference. Great point.
Yeah. And then come back and be like, hey, I learned this doing Auto X. I learned this doing tactical topside ventilation, but whatever, right? And yeah, it almost goes back to how I got hired. Anybody that I was kind of in my circle trying to get hired, we'd do an interview, we'd come out and we write down questions. Hey, I had all these questions. You might see them if you interview here, or you might see them if you interview in another city. Like you're always trying to help each other, right?
That's a really great example. Like, and somehow, somewhere we lose that.
Yeah, everyone is trying to compete for the same job at that stage, but it's for some reason you help each other out. And then you get on the job and sometimes people don't want to share information or they lose the drive to help the new firefighters.
Well, because if you're helping each other out, you're all having a way higher probability of getting hired, right? So then you buy into that. Speaking of buy-in, but that's buy-in like you're automatic. You don't have to get someone to buy into it. They're already bought in because they realize this is better. So if we could just have that realization with some of these other employees of the city that work as firefighters.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, dude, I'm glad we were able to sit down and finally make this happen.
Yeah, same here. I know we were supposed to do it a while ago and it didn't happen. And to be honest, I kind of forgot. And then I saw you at the conference and I was like, oh, Scott, good to chat for sure.
Yeah, man, you're doing great work with the Fools and keep it up.
Thank you. So I can't remember if we chatted at the conference or not, but I'm gonna do another Dutton fire forum this year.
Awesome.
Haven't really discussed or told too many people, but the plan is I'm gonna have 4 speakers. I have to reconnect with Brass, but he said he was good, but I'm gonna get him to do a machine rescue talk. And then Phil Resendez, he's going to do a talk on search. And then Anthony from the survey, he's going to do a presentation with the data and all that. And then Rob T-Bear, he's got a tactical command presentation he wants to deliver. So
that sounds great.
When I was talking with Brass, I told him, if you want to set up a table with all your props, and I think that would be very beneficial to everyone down here. I think it'd be a fun day. Bring everyone together again.
Nice.
Aiming for the fall, probably November again.
Any shout outs you want to make for anybody out there before we sign off?
Definitely want to thank my wife. She's the one who lets me go to these conferences and do all these trainings. She totally understands that I'm not just going to have fun. I'm going to better my skills to not only hopefully protect myself, but also hopefully protect other families and just do the best job I can when we're toned out and we're called. So definitely want to thank her. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one for sure.